Welcome to another edition of Impact TV. I'm Kevin Hilton, the CEO of Impact, and today we have as our special guest the 13th International President of the Ironworkers, Eric Dean. Eric, welcome.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you for joining us today. The topic with the Ironworkers is always safety, the highest priority. Could you tell us a little bit about what we've done with STSC?
Well, we've engaged a board of certified safety professionals to come up with a program that'll train our members to be supervisors for the employers to look after our members' safety. We believe it's going to be a paradigm shift as far as it's a certification that already exists, but most times companies go outside of the ironworking community to hire safety folks that never really perform the task on the job site. So we think that empowering our members to take care of the safety needs of our workforce and on behalf of the employers is a win-win proposition.
Good stuff.
And then Impact funding it recognizes the employer's needs as well, so it's good use of impact dollars.
Excellent, excellent. We have over 200 iron workers that now carry that certification, and I suspect that number will grow dramatically by the end of the year. So, Eric, you've been in the job for just over a month now. How does it feel?
It feels good. It's quite an honor to be the 13th General President, but the issues is over the time learning from the previous General Presidents has empowered me or enabled me to hit the ground running per se. I served as General Secretary, so I was here for 4.5 years serving under General President Emeritus Wise's regime, and then I was a Vice President under General President Emeritus Hunt's regime, and learning their ways and getting a playbook per se from them and allowing me to try and do some new and innovative things and build off of what they've done. It's been an interesting first month.
So you served your apprentice as a general.
I would hope people would say I served my apprenticeship, but you're never prepared for any job I've had until you're sitting in that chair. When you were an apprentice, you had somebody steering and showing you the way. When you were a journeyman, you always had a foreman steering you. When you become a labor leader, you always have a higher ranking officer. So learning from the general presidents, there is no higher position I can attain, so I need to listen to the members, but I need to rely on the counsel of the former general presidents and build off of their success.
So, of course, you're always listening to the membership, but if you were speaking to them, what do you want your first message out to the rank and file ironworkers to be?
Well, I want to continue to be the safest union possible, and I want our members to go home intact every day. I want them to be profitable and have a rewarding career with great retirement security. But I want them to be engaged. I want them to be involved in the local unions, participate, be an activist. That doesn't mean taking opposite action to an issue, but being engaged in the activities of the local union, being a solid citizen, going to work for the employer and fulfilling the collective bargaining agreement and doing what we're paid to do and fulfilling on that promise. And when we do that, oftentimes it's a very winnable, viable solution.
Good. So engagement's a two-way street, particularly from Washington out to all the local unions throughout North America. Would you anticipate continuing a monthly broadcast like this?
It's my intention to do a monthly blog. The issue for me is time is precious. As General President, there's a lot of meeting time and scheduling demands. But I anticipate on a monthly basis trying to make the time to share a monthly ongoing message with the members and some of the activities of either the international or what we're doing in Impact or we're doing with the National Fund.
So part of the equation, of course, when we work through Impact, it's labor and management, the ironworkers and our contractors. How would you characterize your ongoing and growing relationship with the ironworker employers?
Well, our employers are our best friends. They've risked all the capital to take their money and put it to work so that our contractors can go to work. So I value the signatory employers. We just don't have enough of them. 2008 was a terrible construction depression, and we saw a lot of people see their line of credit go away. The baby boomer phenom isn't just affecting the trades folks, it's affecting our employer community. So we're making sure that we've got enough successor companies. But without our signatory employers, it's a true partnership for us. our union has our members, and that's the core of our strength. But without employers to work for, obviously, and willing and signatory employers, we hold them in high regard.
Sure, sure. So you've taken a very, very active role in relaying the value-added component that we bring to the industrial end user and the construction industry. Could you talk a little bit about your interaction at the owner or end user level and the value that you place on that?
Well, coming from the Chicagoland area and growing up in that labor community, it's a higher union density area than others. So as I traveled in my various capacities with the International, I found out that there are areas that simply hadn't used us for a decade, 2 decades, and we really lost or had an erosion of market share. By attending some of these programs and contractor and end user meetings, we're able to not only sell what we have to offer, but sometimes we're able to convince someone of a myth or a stereotype that really doesn't exist. And by building trust with the owner community, they're giving us an opportunity to tour our training facilities and find out what we're doing, because not only are we suffering from membership loss due to the baby boomers, the unionized construction side, so too is the open shop. And a lot of those were ex-members. So now, as the workforce is in demand, they're looking for their best options. And I think a lot of people are revisiting whether they want to come to the unionized building trades and take a look at us. And we've had great success having folks, I can speak of one owner, I don't want to single anyone out, touring our facility and demanding that its EPC contractor actually utilize our workforce on the job site in a place we hadn't been in 2 decades. And that's just one success story I can attribute to directly building trust, not only me, but General President Wise, and having the faith of the owner communities that we say what we mean and we mean what we say, and then our members can deliver on the promise that we make.
We're all in sales, there's no doubt about that. You mentioned General President Wise. So Walt Wise had a big, audacious goal of doubling our market share by 2021. In other words, you know, the pie, the construction pie is so big, we need to take a bigger portion of the pie from whoever else is doing the ironworker and our employers' work. Do you think he'll continue in that audacious goal by 2021?
I was on President Wise's administration and team, and when he made that goal, I strongly supported it. We'll continue it. He made the goal in the year he became president and I became general secretary. It was the year of our last convention. We're about 4 years out since that last convention. We see the opportunity with the economy is responding. Private capital's come into market, so we're seeing private jobs coupled with the promise of a robust transportation infrastructure bill. I think the next 6 years, we've seen dramatic increases in the last month. Approximately 900 new members came between June and July in our most recent membership reports. We're not past our high water mark of 2008, but we've surpassed our measurement from 2006. We kind of measure in intervals from when we had conventions because they're easier to put a milestone or a line in the sand. But we're seeing that growth, and we're seeing more apprentices, more probationary members. Our problem is we got to replace those skilled people at a level greater than the attrition level. So the amount of people that either leave the business for whatever reason or retire, we got to get those to get more market share increase. But then we need additional employees, and we have to have more employers to bid and secure that work for our members to work at.
Yeah, it's really an interesting dynamic. We really are operating in a historic time. Not only the replacement of those crafts, the skilled craftsmen and women, but getting those employers to get out there and bid the work, and actually creating new employers is incredibly important.
Some of our employees, like our members, find a niche that they really like to specialize in. We have rodmen who only work on the rod patch. We have steel erectors that only work in the steel. We have finishmen that only work in the curtain wall. Our contractors sometimes either pigeonhole or find a comfort level. What we're trying to do is find more employers to get more employment opportunity and grow that next generation of signatory employers. So we're working doubly, not only on the signatory employer base, but training craft people and having craft people ready for the demand.
So shifting gears a little bit here, at the end of June, you really experienced a dramatic change in the leadership of the ironworkers. We talked about Walt Wise stepping down as general president, you assuming those roles. But you've had a lot of, it's been like musical chairs. What opportunities and what challenges does that represent?
I would say the challenges are having more qualified people for spaces available than having spots. So for when I vacated the general secretary spot, I needed to appoint a general secretary. The General Executive Council voted for me to fill the vacancy, and the rest of the appointments are my constitutional authority. And there's so many qualified people for each one of those spots, you end up disappointing somebody. But I'm not worried about disappointing. I'm making sure getting the right personnel in the right spot for the present needs. And what happens is, so there's a hole I move the general treasurer picks up to general secretary. That creates a hole at general treasurer. I had a wide range of vice presidential candidates to choose from. I selected Director of Organizing Vice President Bernie Evers. And then that created a 4-person vice president vacancy based on 3 additional retirements of General Vice President Ward, General Vice President Walsh, General Vice President Stanley, and then Bernie Evers moving up to treasurer. So now I can pull from the district council presidents to elevate and make people vice president. And I really have more qualified people than I have positions. So you wrestle a little bit with getting it right. And, someone's going to be disappointed, but overall people are really been supportive of the people we've been putting in. The opportunity that it presents is a lot of new thinking. Everyone's in a new position, so there's half of the vice presidents. We got 4 new vice presidents, 3 new general officers. All of us had jobs previously, but it empowers new thinking and new ways and new solutions to solve some of our challenges and our problems.
Well, thinking about that, you've got new personalities, you've got people with varied backgrounds, different skill sets, and you've got them on a council or committee that steers the international union. How do you get them all working in sync?
Well, the misconception is that we've got all these vice presidents lined up simply to take my job. Our vice presidents may have been misnamed by our constitutional framers because they serve more in an executive board framework, and what we try and do is empower various parts of North America, so that includes Canada and the United States, in high density and low density areas, so that we have a representational voice on our executive council that advises the 3 general officers. In spite of what people might think, all wisdom doesn't emit or come from inside the Beltway. Much of it comes from outside, and it bubbles up from our members, our local union, and then their elected leaders. From there, we have just a pool of district council presidents, of which the vice presidents are also district council presidents, and then they're bumped up to the executive council. And we meet annually, and we try and work on solving our common problems. Some are regional or parochial, and they only reside in a special area. But we try and share best practices, gather and try and empower them with as much information. Technology's coming at us at warp speed, so we're making sure that their technology skills are up. Their critical thinking, they wouldn't have got to where they were if they weren't problem solvers and leaders in their area. And it's just a matter of trying to find out what issues are the best ones to carry forward or embrace on a national strategy as far as both the U.S. and Canada. And they're subtly different too, from the government regulations to the training regulations. And for the first time ever, we've empowered 2 Canadian vice presidents because their membership has grown incredibly, and I felt it was representational, the right thing to do.
Good, good. So, Stephen Covey, the management guru, is often cited here, there, and yonder throughout the business world. And one of the key tenets that he talks about is beginning with the end in mind. So, before you know it, as time goes so ridiculously fast, you'll be putting your arm on the shoulder of the next guy and say, this is what I did as general president, you carry on further. What is that thing that you see is the signature element of what your long tenure is going to be?
Well, being a member of the union, I always have identified or known that no one person does it all. So I don't know that I'll say I did anything, but I could say what we accomplished together, and hoping that Former General Secretary Mike Fitzpatrick used to always close most meetings with, "Leave it better than you found it." And I'd like to leave our union in better shape, both financially, from a strength position where when we have more members, we can collectively bargain better and get better wages, working conditions, safer jobs, and making our contractors more profitable and just having a larger market share.
Good. Very good stuff. Well, that's your introduction to the 13th General President of the Iron Workers. Thank you for joining us. Again, I'm Kevin Hilton with Impact TV.